what is the vegan starter kit? So the vegan starter kit. If you're a vegan, you're a demon, which means that you put yourself into a space and location where you're pretty much putting heavy emphasis on eating and what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat. Ain't nothing wrong with being these things. It's a word called moderation. And if you don't know how to do things in moderation, then you go to their full extreme natures by getting too lost into your desires. You become an Adam and Eve, which means that once upon a time, you ate what you truly love to eat, but you didn't do things in a spiritual perspective, which means you overindulge into certain areas, certain hemispheres. You bit too much fruit, which means Adam ate, Eve ate. And of course, they got lost into this feeling, this emotion, this idea, this projection. And the snake, which is your flesh, your fluids, the tree is physical representations, which means where you guys are housing yourself, eating a lot, doing a lot. And of course, this is where you feel comfortable at. So when you go to the extremes, the snake, the serpent, is always going to remind you. You always going to get some hemispheres. You're always going to basically react and respond to a chemical that basically put off electric shock. And when these things electric shock you, you may not pretty much know about these things. That's why your higher self always going to come to you. Always going to basically send you a hint saying, yo, you should have been eating from that tree because that tree is going to keep damaging you. It's letting you know. So you got to like pretty much take the evil's perspective out of the book and look at these things as these are just your ideas and the way you feel. And what comes out after that is your surroundings of what's going on. Now, when it comes to being a vegan, it ain't really got much to do about what you eat and what you shouldn't eat. You have to do things in your nature. What makes you feel comfortable. What makes you pretty much put yourself on the stage to basically have a point of reference as far as what you're going to pretty much put in your body. So you're going to die regardless. I just want you to know that. You're going to leave this body regardless. No matter if you eat or don't eat. Or if you eat the healthiest shit in the world. Sometimes that's not pretty much good because you could be basically lacking certain minerals and certain nutrients that you should basically be uptaking. See, doing things in a natural perspective is cool. Everybody look at these things like it's something bad, something good. For me, there's no such thing of good and bad. For me, you just came into this world to experience and live your life and do what you do. And the person that pretty much came up with this whole term, the vegan, which they say, it was a philosopher. I mean, what was his name? Watson or something like that. See, he was a Virgo. You know, Virgos, they really go to the extremes when it comes to worrying about what they eat, what they put in their body. So 10 times out of 10, that agenda started with this person, this individual. And of course, you know, everybody have a different body, which means that, you know, Aries, very impulsive. Taurus, overindulged into a whole lot of desires. That'll be the Adam and Eve's. Geminis, you know, they worry about things too much when it comes to their mind and intellect. Cancers, they are very loving, caring. They overindulge a whole lot of food. Leos, they eat a lot. Now Virgos, they worry a lot, stress a lot. Of course, they pretty much are heavy when it comes to eating, putting things in nutriments in their body. Also Pisces too, because this is the other side of Virgo. So Virgos and Pisces, these are like the opposites positions. So pretty much these individuals will basically stress a lot about things that should be right, things that should be done accordingly, things that shouldn't be done accordingly. So of course, these are individuals that's going to play out these characteristics. That don't mean that everybody in the entire world have these same outlooks and outpacks. But of course, the rules of moderation still applies to everybody. So if you're not doing things in moderation, you're going to suffer the repercussions of being a demon, a desire. And of course, when you get too lost into a desire, whether it's a desire that's good or bad, it's going to basically be a hard fall for you, which means it could put you into a position of falling too hard, from a fall from grace. And of course, we all seen what happened to her and him. You never want to basically lead out that lives. So your vessel, your high self, always going to be like, yo, wait, hold on. You're doing a little, way too much at this perspective. Basically, everything is a percentage level. Feel me? It's not what you're doing, but it's how you're doing it. Feel me? Now, if you're doing it in a way where you're balanced, feel me? You're not going to basically worry too much. But if you're just doing things out here, just picking things up, eating it, it's good to experience and shit. Always experience first. Then when you experience it from the first time, what comes second is basically the feeling of it. Feel me? So you gotta have a vision about something. You're gonna feel and see about something. You're gonna basically deprive it. Once you deprive it, basically it's gonna be the flesh. Now, once you experience the surroundings of it, then you can basically start to basically put the two and two together and see how you can basically use these things. So certain individuals, they use these things, get lost in these things, and these things start to become a routine habit. Of course, if you're in a routine habit, you're gonna want to get out of that spectrum. Almost to the point where if you eat certain things too much, you're gonna get tired of it one day. You're gonna want to switch things up and pretty much add a little color to it. Feel me? Shine it up a little bit. And of course, it's never gonna be a coincidence where you're gonna put yourself into a position that you're gonna feel uncomfortable in. Remember, just because one person said that it's not good, that don't mean that refers to you. This person may basically have certain spectrums or certain experiences that he didn't pretty much obtain, or he just probably had a bad batch. Now, see how one person experience can fuck up somebody else's experiences or put them into a contradiction or unjustified situation or make them feel guilty about something just because one person had an experience. And of course, 10 times out of 10, whatever was on their mind and whatever they was feeling, they ate that shit. So what came out of it is what happened to them. So never put yourself into a position of feeling vulnerable about doing certain things or pretty much obtaining certain things, for me, because it's not about that at all. For me, you just came here to experience shit for what it truly is. 10 times out of 10. Always look at the characteristics of what you're eating, what these things do. For me, like for instance, you're gonna eat a cheeseburger, right? You know a cow. You know what does a cow do? A cow milks the game. A cow want to basically take up everything that's on the surface. So whatever you basically trying to accumulate and basically bring off the surface, you would take it to position of, okay, let's eat a cheeseburger. Now, you want to milk the game, you want to milk the world, you want to milk the clock, right? You want to basically have all the money in the world, right? So basically, for instance, eating it, programming your cheeseburger, eating it to it, and of course, metaphysically speaking to it, whatever attention and energy that you're putting into that food, you're basically going to get out of it, which means you're not just basically starving and stuffing your face. For me, you have a concentration pinpoint as far as how you want to basically dictator that burger, and of course program that burger to basically work in your favors, which means, for instance, you want money, you want to make some money, eat a cheeseburger. For me. Now if you're trying to basically get yourself out of a situation, or if you're trying to, like, for instance, you're in a relationship with somebody, you're trying to get away from this person or this individual, or if you're basically in a circumstance situation where you're worrying about cops watching you or cops pulling you over and something like that, before you go outside, before you get in that car, what you should do, eat a piece of chicken. Feel me? Now, what chickens do? Chickens, they run, they get around, they love to fly. So basically, you will program that chicken and have it work for you in your favors. That's how that shit will go. Feel me? You have to use food for what it is, not just eat it because you want to eat it, and of course, it'll put you in a certain feeling and emotion. No. When you eat foods, you're supposed to already be in the energies of what you're basically trying to manifest. It's called food rituals. It's not about what you're eating. For me, it's about how you basically presenting and putting yourself in these hemispheres. It's 10 times out of 10. We're not even really supposed to be. Again, then again, I don't want to basically put it into that spectrum. Feel me? We actually supposed to be eating fucking humans. That's what the fuck we supposed to be eating. A lot of people be like, wait, hold on, that don't make no sense. What? People start getting skeptical and scared. Well, you have to look at it like this. When you came out your mother's vagina, what did you start to basically inherit or intake? You took breast milk, which means her blood cells, her fluids from her breast was basically going inside your body. And that's how you was basically being fulfilled. And of course, you was eating from your mother. And remember, everything she was eating, you was eating. So 10 times out of 10, you was inside of her. And you was basically developing your body and pretty much creating hemispheres where you could basically sustain yourself in the body. So look at it like this. You also look at cows. Feel me? What do cows eat? They suck their mother's chilies, and they basically get the milk from it. So 10 times out of 10, once you grow up and become an individual, you're not going to basically be sucking on your mom's titties forever. So you're going to basically have to replace something. So 10 times out of 10, people that's pretty much don't like dairy or afraid of dairy, 10 times out of 10, what you was inheriting from your mother, or the reasons why you was growing certain hairs on your bodies and stuff like that, chest, like certain spectrums on your body start to basically grow and pretty much scale and start to grow out. Once you start inheriting that milk, for all people that's dairy and things of that matter, you start to lose substances on your body. Now, this don't pertain to everybody though. If you have certain, it depends on your blood. For me, if you have certain bloods where you lack, when you have a negative A, I wouldn't say negative A. I know negative, a positive O. These people are good, but you gotta know your blood type for me, because you may be basically be getting off certain nutriments, and of course, these nutriments that you was having and obtaining from your parents was there for you to basically be developed through the future preferences. Now, when you stop eating certain things and stop drinking certain things, it's going to put you into a state and the references of feeling depleted and lacking something. 10 times out of 10, you're already under a ritual or a spell when it comes to food and eating. They made, for me, they programmed you to make it believable that you need certain food, certain water, certain things that you got to basically inherit and take into your body. 10 times out of 10, you don't really need nothing. You don't need none of that shit. All you need is water and milk. And if you don't know how to basically survive for that, then pretty much you're not self-disciplined. That means you put yourself into a situation where you don't do things in moderation. You think and feel that you need certain things. And of course, if you don't have these things, you go to the extremes. But 10 times out of 10, it depends on your certain blood types too. Certain people may basically need to take up upheaval, more food or more substances to basically feel deprived. But of course, if you don't have moderation, you don't have balance, you don't know how to basically self-discipline yourself to not needing certain things, you're going to go to the extremes. Now, what happens if you have these things today, but they're not here tomorrow? AKA food shortages. See, they're going to pretty much try to fool y'all with this shit, with this food shortage shit. And remember, they need y'all reactions and responses to things. So if you react and respond to believing that it's a food shortage, what's going to happen is they're going to make these things possible, which means they create a title. And of course, the amount of energy that you put into there, that's when these things start to basically be fulfilled. And of course, if something's being fulfilled and being reacted, respond to, and of course, attention is basically being deprived on there, what happens? Motherfuckers start acting accordingly. You could take this into consideration with this quote-unquote invisible shit in the air that they got y'all basically believing almost to the point that they ready to basically, psych your ass up, take your ass off the hemispheres. Or you gotta already basically put yourself into a space and location to where it's gonna basically benefit you. Feel me? 10 times out of 10, if you want to start a vegan or become a vegan, what you need to do first is the inner work. Feel me? If you don't do internal work, then you're not gonna basically get through this vegan phase. It's gonna be very hard and very difficult for you. If you're not self-disciplined, if you don't know how to balance yourself, you don't know how to go inside yourself and clear out certain demons. And what I mean by demons, these are basically animalistic natures that's basically deprived in certain areas that strive for these areas. You got to clear out certain things that you basically no longer want to basically inherit or uptake or fulfill in your body. Feel me? Because remember, where the mind goes, the body goes. So if your mind is not predicated towards releasing and not basically putting yourself into a position and allowing or having certain shit to pretty much leave your space, then these things is going to basically still be here. Because that means you didn't kill off a demon. You didn't kill off an idea. You didn't eat your children. Feel me? If you don't eat your children, which means if you don't kill certain ideas, feelings, and emotions that you basically deprived on, and pretty much things get your attention, then you're gonna still be in a program of wanting this, needing this, eating this, and of course, 10 times out of 10, these individuals that's basically out here telling you what you should and what you should not be eating are agents to basically stop you and make you feel a certain way, and of course have you psyched up to almost to the point this is how they can basically change your food and put certain shit in your food and digest it inside of you, and of course kill you and get rid of you just like that. So you have to be very aware. You have to program your food, and of course you got to have true instances on what you try to basically do with the food, or how you can manifest with the food. And of course, if you don't know how to do this, you can get your ass led straight. So it's very important to basically create your own food system, have your own shit, have your own perspectives, and you will be out in this position. But of course, internal work comes first when it comes to basically developing yourself, trying to be a vegan into this world. And that's pretty much, well, we're going to get into some more shit.